Hi, Freeman. How are you doing?
Pretty good, Amy.
Did you have some barbecue tonight? I
What
missed it.
qualifies you for the office that you're running for, and why did you get into this?
Why did I get into this? Well, I got into this because I think it's my time to give back as a public servant. And I've been focused on business for many, many years. And this allowed me the opportunity to serve in a different way, and I'm sort of excited about it.
Okay. If you're elected to the office, what do you think you need to do to get North Carolina to keep going in the direction that it's going in?
Well, as a businesswoman, I think the principles can be applied the same in the private sector as in the federal government. I believe good listening skills are always handy to have. You have to, I'm told there are many, many different issues that our constituents here in the mountains need to be concerned about that are being adjudicated and voted upon in Raleigh. And I think that I am qualified. I've been a businesswoman in Black Mountain for 5 years now. I believe that I have a little bit, my thumb is on the pressure of the people around me. No matter what side of the blanket you're on, I have a good sense of business, and I believe that if I were so privileged to be elected by my constituents, I would represent them well. I will listen, and then I will represent them well when it comes time to make laws about governing them that are going to affect their daily lives. We have a right to have a voice at the table, and that's why I'm concerned.
I understand you were in the Coast Guard. What did you learn in the Coast Guard that you think will help you?
That's a great question, Freeman. Thank you. I was in the Coast Guard as a youngster right out of high school. I was an oboist. My father signed me up. But what I learned that the Coast Guard is, I don't know if many people know this, multinational organization with folks from all walks of life, economic standards, from ethnic groups. You put a uniform on them and you give them a task to do as a part of a team, and it's sort of like magic. You have a fabulous end result. And for me, growing up in a New England conservative family, I hadn't had much opportunity to learn about people from different parts of the United States, from different cultures and different backgrounds. So for me, it was a wonderful lesson to learn that there were other people that were living and breathing and having children and getting married and going to school. And I learned an awful lot as a human being. What do you think about the contrast between myself and the gentleman that I am running against?
You tell me.
All right, I'll be glad to. My opponent, John Ager, has held the seat, I believe, for 2 cycles now. That would be 4 years. He is a progressive, liberal Democrat. I realize that he has a long standing in his community, but I have to say the things that I have heard with his voting record, with his attendance record, and with his overall demeanor as to how he approaches representing the people. I've lived in Black Mountain as a business owner for 5 years. I never even heard of him. I never saw him. All I hear is our laws being made and adjudicated, and we have no say in them. And so I was curious to get out. I have not met him. I had not the privilege, but I plan to meet him within the next couple of months, and I have some questions for him. I want to know what he's going to do to represent his constituents, not represent out-of-state big lobby money that he is on the voting record for. I want to know what he feels about our schools, our education. What about our youth who are having diminished opportunities because they don't have the right skills or the tools to make sure that they have a chance at prosperity and can hand it down to their children and their children. So I have a lot of questions for John Ager. I really do.
One of the questions I've been asking the other candidates as I interviewed, is how do you feel about vocational training? I was sitting in 7th grade when I came up with a plan. Basically half a day college oriented, the other half a day mandatory vocational training. Whatever, carpenter, plumber, electrician, statistician, dentistry, whatever that the schools can offer, and not only teach it as a trade, but teach it as a business. So if it takes you a year to learn that trade as a business and how to do it properly, then you pick another one. And if that one takes 2 years, then you pick another one. So by the time you get out of high school, you actually have some skills underneath your belt that you can go out and start a business or go to work for somebody, and that somebody feels confident enough in your training that they can pretty much let you do unsupervised. In other words, you will have the skills to provide for yourself when you get out of high school, instead of today. Basically, from what I see and from what I hired, a lot of them don't have the skills to even manage your own life after you're 18.
I happen to agree with you, Fremont. And my father absolutely raised us. I have 3 siblings in that same manner. He raised us to make sure we could always pull a certificate of some sort out of our back pocket, especially the women in the family, because when I was raised, women were basically to stay in the home and raise children and enhance any kind of skills in music and art, or were there to enhance the family life and help raise children to have a better, well-rounded education. Of course, over the years, that has turned. And I believe, having lived in Europe and seen that they have kept up their technical skills and teaching them through the different levels of education and kinds of education that they have, that there always will be an electrician on here. There always will be a qualified plumber. There will always be somebody to do your hair, to do the things that build your walls. The very important things in society, and you can still make a living. For me, it's always been, that's great, as long as you have a good job at the end of your education. Today, it's even more important that you do, because you're spending so much of your time and of your good hard-earned money to achieve a certificate or an education. Now, just let me tell you, I worked recently at a large pharmaceutical company here in Marion. And it was at Marion that we discovered that this company was going basically belly up due to the fact that they could not get qualified engineers, electrical engineers, and people to service their equipment that was breaking down in the plant. This was a 1 million square foot plant. So what we did, and I was very instrumental in starting this pilot, we went to the local community, McDowell Technical College in this instance, went into McDowell High School, and we went to the governor's office in Raleigh, and we also went to the CEO of our company, who happens to be sitting in Chicago, and I have a long history with this company. And we developed a partnership that as soon as these young people graduated from our local high schools, they went right into the technical school for free, as long as they passed at a certain level and they completed the course. They had a good paying job. And I'm not talking about a $12 an hour job. I'm talking about a $23 to $28 job right out of technical school. And they were able to use just exactly what you described. They would go from one area in the plant and in the company to another until they were able to develop and grow in the company. And that company put in a certain amount of money. The governor's office, the state of North Carolina invested in these young people, and McDowell County community did, as well as the high school. And it has been a rousing success. So successful that our governor, current seating, bless his little heart, is going around to all the outlying areas in this state and claiming that it's his idea, when it actually was not and is not. It is a very successful program, and I hope to see it in every single district in this state, and I hope it flourishes elsewhere, because our children need an education, not necessarily a 4-year liberal arts education. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's also something they cannot get a job with. You need a job today. And we are so undermining our young people and the next generation after that without providing that. And we need, that is such a huge issue facing what we are going to have to deal with in the next 50 years. So if we don't start now, I think we're going to be sorry. But thank you for asking that question.